Welcome to FLS Energy. The purpose of this video is to provide a brief overview of FLS Energy's field safety requirements and to help serve as a quick reference accident prevention guide. Of course, the procedures outlined in this video are only minimum requirements, and precautions should be taken at all times to comply with local, state, and federal laws. Safety and accident prevention is everyone's responsibility. It is mandatory that all personnel become knowledgeable of these requirements and ensure they are followed while on the job site. Every person who steps onto the site is required to attend this safety orientation and will be given a handbook to study more closely. We'll need you to sign our Safety and Accident Prevention Acknowledgement Form at the conclusion of the orientation, after you've had an opportunity to review the manual in detail. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. First, we need you to read, understand, and follow the job site safety rules at all times. Be aware of the locations of the site-specific emergency evacuation plan, first aid kits, eye wash station, and other safety devices. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment and suitable work clothes at all times. And we'll ask you to know how to work in a safe manner and how to identify potential safety hazards. We don't want you to perform potentially hazardous work or use or handle hazardous materials until you are properly trained. Please be observant of your coworkers and assist those not in compliance. Help them realize they are putting themselves or others at risk. Additionally, always know you can evoke the Stop Work Authority, as warranted, if a safety hazard is identified and cannot be corrected immediately. Never forget to report all injuries, no matter how minor, to the FLS site superintendent. If injured, we want you to seek treatment immediately, and we'll ask that you attend our weekly safety toolbox meetings. Got it? FLS Energy prides itself on working with professionals. We hold ourselves and our team to common sense standards of behavior required of everyone on the job site. Please, no radios or other personal entertainment devices. Everyone must wear personal protective equipment, and obviously, no fighting. Possessing or using illegally controlled substances, drugs, or intoxicants like alcohol is not allowed, and inappropriate behavior or comments related to sex, gender, sexual orientation, race, color, creed, heritage, or religion are forbidden. Let's treat each other like the professionals we are, shall we? Likewise, no theft. As for phones, we try to limit incoming and outgoing calls, and under no circumstances shall personnel talk on the phone and work at the same time. If it's necessary for a call to be made or answered, the caller should remove him or herself from the immediate work area for the duration of the call. Firearms are strictly prohibited on FLS job sites, including in company vehicles. Smoking and open flames are prohibited in areas used for fueling, fuel storage, or enclosed storage of equipment containing fuel. All subcontractors will have an assigned competent person, as defined and required by OSHA. If the person given this responsibility does not demonstrate adequate knowledge of their duties, FLS Energy may ask the subcontractor to replace them or require them to receive additional training to immediately bring up their performance to appropriate standards. In case of an accident or an emergency, personnel must notify their competent person, who then notifies FLS Energy's site superintendent. All accidents must be reported immediately. FLS Energy will complete a full investigation for all incidents. Safety is everything, and one of the best ways for you to be safe is to use personal protective equipment, or PPE. The following PPE should be worn at all times on the job site to minimize the risk of workplace injuries and illnesses. Your hard hat, steel or composite toe, shoe or boot for anyone walking on the job site. A high visibility outer layer of clothing like a vest, a shirt, or jacket. Protective clothing, shirts with sleeves and long pants. Where electrical hazards are present, hard hats must be non-conductive. Safety glasses should be worn when required, as well as gloves, including rubber gloves when needed. Gloves should also be worn when handling and assembling racking and hearing protection, such as earplugs or muffs, as warranted by the task. First aid, of course, is of utmost importance. With FLS Energy, safety comes first. First aid can include such life-saving measures as CPR, cleaning minor cuts and scratches, treating burns, applying bandages and dressings, flushing the eyes, and administering fluids to relieve heat stress. And unless you're trained and licensed in first aid and/or CPR and designated a first aid provider, don't expose yourself to blood or other bodily fluids of other employees at any time. Let's take a closer look at some of these. CPR is useful in many emergencies. When the heart stops, the lack of oxygen can cause brain damage in only a few minutes. A person may die within 8 to 10 minutes. CPR can keep oxygen flowing to the brain and other vital organs until more definitive medical treatment can restore a normal heart rhythm. If a worker requires CPR, have someone call 911 immediately while you begin. If you're worried that your knowledge isn't 100% complete, it's still better to do something than to do nothing at all. Remember, the difference between you doing something and doing nothing could be someone's life. If you're not trained in CPR, you can still provide hands-only, uninterrupted chest compressions of about 100 per minute until paramedics arrive. You do not need to attempt rescue breathing. If you're trained and ready to go, you can start CPR with 30 chest compressions before checking the airway and giving rescue breaths until paramedics arrive. For situations involving bleeding, first of all, please wear clean gloves and avoid contact with blood. Make sure to control minor bleeding with firm, direct pressure applied to the wound. Burns are serious stuff. You'll want to treat minor burns with cold water and leave any blisters intact and cover with a loose sterile pad. For more serious burns, expose the affected area by removing clothing. If clothing is stuck, don't remove it. Electrical burns can cause abnormal heart rhythm, which may cause the heart to stop. If this happens, contact emergency medical staff and perform CPR until an AED is ready, or until another provider takes over. Always make sure the power has been secured and there are no continuing hazards before treating the individual. Be aware that internal injuries from electric shock may be more severe than expected. And for critical burns, please seek immediate medical treatment. Snakes and other wildlife are plentiful in our part of the country. You'll want to watch where you put your hands and feet when removing debris. An easy solution is to wear boots. The higher the boot, the greater the protection. The best way to protect yourself from biting and stinging insects is to wear long pants, socks, and long sleeve shirts, and use insect repellent. If you do see a snake or other dangerous wildlife, just step back and let it proceed. Do not follow, touch, or provoke the animal. But if you or a coworker do get bitten, use first aid and note the type of animal it was, as well as any identifying markings. This video only highlights certain hazards you may encounter on the job site, and it's not intended to be a comprehensive guide. But we want you to be aware of the dangers of electrical shock, arc flash, and grounding. If you have more questions or something is not completely understood, stop and get clarification or additional training before proceeding. Arc flash is a flashover of electric current that leaves its intended path and travels through the air from one conductor to another or to ground. The results can be life-threatening, and when a person is in close proximity to the arc flash, serious injury or even death can occur. Arc flashes can be caused by things like dust, dropping tools, accidental touching, condensation, material failure, corrosion, or faulty installation. And we encourage you to take a good look at your handbook and to learn more. Some equipment will have a greater flash protection boundary, while other equipment will have a lesser boundary. To find distances for specific equipment, refer to the equipment labels. If there is no label, or it does not show the safe distances, consult the FLS site superintendent for guidance. Lockout-tagout is a safety procedure which is used to ensure that dangerous machines are properly shut off and not able to be started again prior to the completion of maintenance or servicing work. The following procedure establishes the minimum requirements. Excavations and trenches and their protective systems shall only be constructed and inspected by a trained, competent person. Trenches 4 feet or greater in depth require a trenching permit that must be approved prior to starting work. All underground utilities will be identified prior to digging any depth greater than 4 inches. Falls are among the most common causes of serious work-related injuries. Be aware of open trenches and take the appropriate precautions, whether you're working in the trench or around it. Weather can be unpredictable and change dramatically in a short amount of time, so FLS Energy will monitor storms and notify the job site of potentially hazardous conditions.
However, it is your responsibility to be aware of local weather forecasts and plan for work each day considering a variety of weather conditions.
Personnel should adhere to the following general guidelines. Dress appropriately for the environmental conditions. Effectively plan and schedule work to minimize exposure to temperature extremes. Take adequate breaks and replace fluids frequently. Remember to drink often and before you are thirsty. Staying in good shape helps to minimize injuries and illnesses from exposure to heat or cold. Whenever possible, use a buddy system when working in extreme temperatures. When adverse weather conditions make the work unusually hazardous, take a break. And take precautions to protect from overexposure to the sun. Sunglasses and sunblock can go a long way. Pay close attention to the potential for heat stress and heat stroke. Heat illnesses include heat exhaustion, heat cramps, and heat rash. Risk factors for heat illnesses include high temperature and humidity, direct sun exposure or no breeze or wind, low liquid intake, and heavy physical labor. If a worker is ill from the heat, notify the FLS site superintendent immediately and have someone stay with the worker until help arrives. Move the worker to a cooler or shaded area and remove the outer clothing. Fan or mist the worker with water and apply ice bags, or ice towels. If they are able to drink, provide cool drinking water. If the worker is not alert or seems confused, this may be heat stroke. Call 911 immediately and apply ice as soon as possible.
Heat is not the only threat. Cold weather can also present health risks. Anyone working in the cold may be exposed. Common types of cold stress include hypothermia and frostbite. There are certain strategies to help deal with extreme cold, including wearing at least 3 layers of loose-fitting clothing. Now, insulated gloves can help protect the hands and fingers, while insulated and waterproof boots keep your feet dry and warm. Keep an extra change of clothes available in case you get wet and need to change. When a local storm warning has been issued, a competent person must determine if you should stop working until the weather hazards are no longer present. But you should be aware of these additional precautions. You'll want to halt operations when lightning is present. Most cars are safe from lightning, but understand that it is the metal roof and metal sides that protect you, not the rubber tires. Convertibles, motorcycles, bicycles, open-shelled recreational vehicles, or cars with fiberglass shells offer no protection from lightning. FLS Energy has a site-specific evacuation plan in each job trailer. Upon arrival at any FLS Energy job site, all personnel need to review the plan and know what to do in case of an emergency or evacuation.
The muster area is near the construction entrance and is the portion of the site identified as the best meeting location in case of an emergency. In case of an emergency that requires site evacuation, all personnel must report to the muster area for a head count.
FLS Energy job sites vary greatly in size, and it can be challenging to signal workers of an emergency or evacuation. The most reliable alarm method, especially in remote areas where cell phone coverage may not exist, is the use of loud horns. Multiple horn blasts signals an emergency that requires you to evacuate the job site and report to the muster area. As part of your daily routine, a job hazard analysis should be performed before starting work. Now, this is a technique that focuses on job tasks as a way to identify hazards before they occur. Now, keep in mind, a job hazard analysis is useless unless you take the necessary steps to reduce those identified risks. Safety Toolbox meetings will be held weekly to address safety issues appropriate to the work at hand. During these meetings, personnel are encouraged to raise any safety-related questions or concerns.
FLS Energy takes safety very seriously. To reduce the risk of job site accidents, we enforce safety at all times and will not tolerate safety laziness, carelessness, or risk. Personnel violating the safety requirements of the job site will receive the following disciplinary actions. 1 verbal warning will be provided with detailed information of the violation with a request for the worker to receive additional training. First violation, written notice will be given to the worker's employer with a requirement for the additional training. Proof of training will be submitted to FLS Energy before the worker may proceed with any work on the job site. Second violation, written notice will be given to the worker's employer with a request to immediately suspend the worker from the job site due to safety reasons. immediate dismissal. Severe violations may warrant accelerated disciplinary action with immediate dismissal from the job site.
Thank you for watching the FLS Energy Safety video. Please take a few minutes now to review the Safety and Accident Prevention Field Handbook. If you have any questions, please contact your FLS site superintendent, and don't forget to turn to the last page and sign the Safety Accident Prevention Acknowledgement Form. Hand this form to the FLS site superintendent, receive and apply your Safety Training Hard Hat sticker, and now you're ready to go. Thanks, and be safe out there.